Hi, Scott Wonder here. Welcome to another Wonderwoods video. Recently, I went to the Lincoln County Old Thresher Association steam show up in Lincoln County, Missouri. It's about a 45-minute drive from me. I'm in St. Charles, Missouri, and it's in Ellsbury. I went up there to, just enjoy the show, but also specifically because they have a sawmill there that they run, and run it with steam power usually during the show. So I went up there thinking I could, help out, do whatever, volunteer. Turns out I wasn't really that much needed because I think there was at least 20 guys there to help out. I know that mill could be run with probably 3 guys pretty efficiently, so having that many guys, I was pretty much just in the way. So while I was there, I shot a little bit of video, and I thought you might enjoy it. So here's the Lincoln County Old Threshers Association steam show. This is the steam engine they normally use to run the sawmill. I got there pretty early on Saturday, so they were still working on getting it heated up, get it going, and did not hook it up yet to the sawmill. So while I was there, they hooked the sawmill up to the Alice Chalmers diesel engine, which is always on site, and pretty much is the engine they use most of the time when they're not doing the steam show. You can see here at the edger that if you look down the length of the shaft there's another spot where they have a place to hook up the belt from the steam engine. And now check this out. The head blocks on this sawmill actually move, so they can flip it back, slide it down, and adjust it to whatever length log. In this case, the log was kind of short, so they slid the front head block in a little bit, so you can see how the log is just being caught on each end with the head blocks. Most sawmills, you can't move the head block like that to adjust for the length of the log, but this one's pretty cool where you can. This sawmill is made by Geyser, which is located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, or at least was located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. I had to look it up because I've never heard of a Geyser sawmill. It turns out that they were neighbors of Frick sawmills, and now Frick is a very big name, at least in old sawmills. I see Frick sawmills available all the time. So it sounds like they were neighbors, and that Frick built some stuff for Geyser, and then eventually, I guess, Frick outdid Geyser, at least on sawmills, and was continuing to produce sawmills into the, I think, 1980s or so. It looks like Geyser had a pretty limited run back in the early 1900s. From what I can see, it works like basically any other hand-set mill. It has all the functions that you would want. It has the dogs in there on each head block. You can see the guys jumping into help each time when the log goes back, so you gotta manually unhook the log each time to flip it around. And it also has taper sets, so you can adjust for the log, which allows you to basically offset the head blocks. So if the log is fat on one end or skinny on the other, you can move it in and out at an angle to get it lined up with the saw blade. And then all the controls are belt driven. You can see when you move the handle back and forth, what it does is there's basically 2 belts on there to drive it, one forward, one backwards. So when you push the handle one direction, it tightens up all the belts to pull the cable drum forward, and then when you pull it the other direction, pull it back, basically it tightens up another set of belts and pulls the cable the other direction. You can kind of see the cable underneath the carriage as it goes back and forth. It winds up on a drum and pulls the carriage back and forth. Now right here they're cutting 2x, and they're quite heavy. That's white oak they're cutting, and he cuts it almost all the way through and then drags the carriage backwards with the board still attached to it, so that they can break the board off, maybe have to chainsaw a little bit, get that board off of there, so that it leaves the board back on the operator side of the sawmill because they're very heavy and hard to handle. And so they're going to put those boards back on the sawmill to edge them after they're done cutting this cant. They've got the two-sided cant right now. They're making the third side to get that started, and they're going to cut all 2x lumber. They were cutting this white oak for somebody that's for their deck, for their trailer. So they cut the cant on two sides down to probably 8 inches, I guess. Flipped it over, and now they're just going to cut lumber so they don't have to edge that lumber. When they get done cutting this, it'll be, you know, completely finished and off the sawmill. So then they put those boards, they're right here, they put those back on the sawmill sideways and then run them on the sawmill to cut the edges off. That way they don't have to try to handle the big slabs, like I said, put them through the edger. They're just that way on the sawmill. The carriage can handle them a lot easier, and then they can just slide them off the end and they're done. Now, one of the cool things, another cool thing at this show is obviously they've got an edger too that goes with the sawmill. So the edger's got movable blades in it. This one's got 4 blades. So I think I'm assuming one's fixed and the other 3 are movable. But you can see how you can set the blades to whatever width of lumber you want to cut. And you can put a flitch in there, which a flitch is a piece of wood with 2 live edges. Put it in there and it'll cut a board out for you. It runs through straight and then cuts the edges off. It's pretty nice to have, especially nice when there's so many people there helping. It gets done quickly, nobody even notices it, and all the scrap gets out of the way. And then the funnest piece of equipment was this little buzz saw at the end to help clean up scrap. They were cutting some sticks, and they also used it to cut firewood, cut the slabs into firewood. It's a pretty cool little saw. Of course, it's quite dangerous, but there's nothing there that's not dangerous, so it fits right in. Anyway, that's about all for this little video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.